Imagine you've been lost at sea for weeks. You're exhausted, you're starving, and your hope is almost gone. Then, on the horizon, you see it, an island. Lush, green, and silent. And rising from its center, a thin plume of smoke. A sign of life, a sign of rescue. You've just stumbled upon the island of Aeaea, and you've just made the biggest mistake of your life. Because this island is a trap, and the one who said it is not a monster of claws and fangs. She is a goddess, a sorceress of unimaginable power. Her name is Circe, and her hospitality is a death sentence. This is the story of the legendary hero Odysseus, and how he walked into the home of the world's most dangerous witch. After escaping the Cyclops and other horrors, Odysseus and his crew were battered and desperate. When they landed on Aeaea, they were relieved. They sent out a party of men to investigate the source of the smoke. What the men found wasn't a primitive camp, but a palace of polished stone hidden deep within the woods. And strangely, the woods weren't guarded by dogs, but by lions and wolves. But these beasts didn't attack. They just watched. They padded up to the men and nuzzled them like pets, their eyes filled with a sad, eerie intelligence. It was the first warning sign, and they ignored it. From inside the palace, they heard a sound that charmed them instantly, the rhythmic clack of a loom and a woman's voice, singing with an unearthly beauty. It was a voice that promised safety, comfort, and warmth. They called out, and she appeared. Circe. She was described as terrifyingly beautiful, with eyes that shimmered with primordial power. She smiled, welcomed them in, and offered them a seat at her table. She brought them a feast, a special recipe of cheese, barley, and golden honey, mixed with a rich, potent wine. Her starving, grateful guests didn't hesitate. They devoured the food and drank deeply. They had no idea they were swallowing their own doom. As they finished their meal, Circe walked among them. Her beautiful smile was gone, replaced by a look of cold command. She raised a slender wand and tapped each man on the shoulder. And then, the horror began. The magic didn't just change them, it unmade them. Their bodies twisted and warped. Their skin thickened and sprouted coarse hair. Their hands and feet hardened into hooves. Their voices, trying to scream for help, came out only as panicked, guttural squeals. In moments, the proud sailors of Odysseus were gone. In their place stood a herd of swine. And the most terrifying part of Circe's curse? Their minds remained human. Trapped inside the bodies of pigs, they were fully aware of what had happened to them. She then herded her new pets into a sty, threw them some acorns, and went back to her loom. Her horrifying masterpiece was complete, but one man had escaped to warn Odysseus. When the hero heard what happened, he didn't flee. He drew his sword and marched toward the palace alone. On the way, he was stopped by the messenger god, Hermes. Hermes warned him that his sword would be useless against Circe's magic. He gave Odysseus a secret weapon, a magical herb called moly, a flower as white as milk, with a root as black as night, invisible to mortal eyes. It would make him immune to her spells. Odysseus walked into the palace, and the scene repeated itself. The beautiful greeting, the offer of wine. He took the cup, knowing it was poisoned with her magic, and drank it all. Circe watched him, a predator waiting for the venom to work. She tapped him with her wand and said the words, "Go to the sty and lie with your friends." But this time, nothing happened. Odysseus stood there, unchanged. The look on Circe's face was one of pure shock, and for the first time, fear. Her power had failed. Before she could react, Odysseus drew his sword. He lunged at her, not as a man attacking a woman, but as a force of nature meeting its equal. He was about to strike when she fell to her knees, screaming, recognizing he had divine help. She swore a sacred, unbreakable oath that she would not harm him, and that she would free his men. She led him to the sty, and with a different spell, she anointed each pig. Their bodies unwound, stretching back into human form. They were men again, but younger and stronger than before. You'd think the story ends there, that Odysseus would take his men and flee. He didn't. He and his crew stayed on that island for a full year. A year of feasting, of drinking, of living in a magical paradise with a goddess as their hostess. It was a different kind of trap, a gilded cage of pleasure that could make a man forget his home, his family, his purpose. Finally, his men had to remind him of their quest. When Odysseus told Circe he had to leave, she didn't try to stop him. Her role had changed. She was no longer a captor, but a guide. A terrifying one. She told him that to get home, he first had to go somewhere no mortal was meant to go. He had to sail to the edge of the world and journey into the land of the dead, the kingdom of Hades itself, to seek the wisdom of a blind prophet. Circe the sorceress, the man-eater, was now the gatekeeper to forbidden knowledge. She gave him the map for the next, most dangerous leg of his journey. She had tested him, tried to destroy him, and in the end, she armed him. So was she a villain? A monster who turned men into animals? Or was she a survivor, a goddess living by her own rules, using her power to protect herself from a world that had exiled her? The legend of Circe is a chilling reminder that in a world of heroes and monsters, the most dangerous thing you can find is a lonely god with a beautiful voice offering you a drink.